Derek's not on the platform with me. I've got Justin Britt up here. Can you guys give him a round of applause? Like, show him some praise. Yeah. I hope you guys are pumped. Justin has an awesome story. Some of you guys know him from his playing days at Alabama. How many Roll Tide fans we got in here? Roll Tide, yeah!
That's right.
How many of that center school do we have in here? Oh! Man, y'all are severely outnumbered, so it feels better that way. So,
that's right.
But man, I'm excited. Justin and I spent some time talking on the phone, and just got to share his story. And Justin's got a love for you guys. He's got a love for students. Justin serves over at Daystar. That's where, if you guys know, Derek Dale is in the house where he's a student pastor. And so Justin serves with those guys. He's got a love for students. He just, he wants to share with them, share his story, the things he's done. And I'm excited because he gets to share that with you guys tonight. So, hey, before we get going, I'm going to throw up our live number again that we had last week. That'll be up there. We're going to have a part where y'all can ask Justin some questions. I'm going to screen them, so, don't ask anything crazy. Like he said earlier, somebody might ask me a question like, hey, what's that thing on your face? Well, that's my face. so that way I'm gonna screen some of these questions before y'all get to them, but it's up there on the screens for you, so y'all can kind of ask him. We got those coming up here in a little bit. So, Justin, thanks for coming. I'm excited you're here. If you just take a moment and really just kind of share, we got some youngins in here that may not remember your playing days and your glory days, and just kind of share a little bit, when you played and, kind of during your time in Alabama, just some of your background that you had while you were there.
Yeah, I played 04 to 07. I went to Coleman High School, then played at Alabama 04 to 07. I played as a true freshman. I played defense line my freshman and sophomore year, then offensive line my junior and senior year. And then I signed a 2-year contract after that with the Cincinnati Bengals. And blew my shoulder out, and that was the 5th surgery in 4 consecutive years. Oh, wow. So I was done after that.
Man, football just takes a toll out on you.
Oh yeah,
so,
no doubt.
All those days. So man, that's crazy. All those years at Bama. So and you got to play for the great Nick Saban. During that time when he got to you, he hadn't had any. He only had 1 national championship, things like that. But he's still an amazing coach. And I got a video that I want to show you guys. I talked to Justin about this. Some of y'all have seen Nick on TV and seen that he can get just a little bit fiery. You've seen him. He can get just a little bit fiery with the media when he's not happy. So I want to show y'all this video real quick of show how Nick Saban kind of handled a player one time that wasn't doing what he was supposed to. So check this out real quick.
From South Florida's night team tonight, you might call it the crying game. Fury on the field. From new Dolphins coach Nick Saban getting down and dirty and leaving one player wiping away the tears. Nobody said it was going to be easy.
That's right. And that goes for coaches and players alike. The night team's Steve Shapiro live in the Plex with more. Steve?
I've been doing this a long time. I have never, in all my days, seen anything like this. A coach makes an NFL player cry. The Nictator yelling at 5th-round draft pick rookie Manuel Wright. He's saying, use your head, use your head. Wright is escorted off the field, and he is sniveling, has to wipe away the tears. Wright is a rookie defensive tackle.
As you well know, young players need to develop the kind of mental toughness and attitude that they need to be professionals. So we're trying to help them with that too. Maybe we need to get on them a little bit at times, which I got on him about what we wanted him to try to do at least today to work himself through it, and he responded well to it.
Came back later. That rookie better toughen up.
Yeah. That's Coach Saban right there.
Now tell me, I know that we see he's a fiery guy.
Yeah.
Do you have any experience like that? And then it's a twofold question.
Yeah.
So I've heard there's this thing called a button that apparently he has in his office that the door shuts by itself. And I've heard when he uses the button, it's legit.
That's true. And I was actually the first player that got to experience that because, it was my senior year when he came in, and I was one of the first ones that got in trouble, of course. Because, I wore many hats when I played college. I was FCA. And Christian was one of my hats, and then another hat I was a football player. But one day, after I was wearing, the bar hat and going to the bars and whatnot, I got caught and got in trouble, got in a fight. And got in trouble. So he called me to my office, and I knew what it was about, so I knew I was about to get chewed out. And I walked into his office. I think it was in the spring, right before the season even started. And got into his office, and he left the door open. He walked to his desk, and I reached back. I was like, trying to pull the door. I was like, you want me to close this door or not? And he's like, no, sit down. So I sat down, and he pushed this little button. That door goes, just closed it right in front of me. Scared me to death.
What was that? So what was it like? When he hits that button, you kind of know it's about.
Yeah, it's serious. It's serious for sure. Yeah, it was, he gets after it, no doubt about it.
So I take it that was like a come to Jesus meeting you had in that, right behind those doors.
For sure. Yeah, you don't mess around. I mean, that's one of the things I really learned from Coach Saban is either you're getting better or you're getting worse. There's no maintaining what you got. You know what I'm saying? Either you're getting better or you're getting worse. And that's one of the things I'm learning as I grow in my faith and my walk with Christ. Either you're serving the Lord or you're serving the devil. And there ain't no in between.
Yeah. That's awesome. So with Nick, so you said that's one of the things you learned from him. But one of the things that we hear a lot, or that students hear, that Nick Saban he's a fantastic leader, and he has leadership qualities that people they want to learn. How do you do it? I mean, he year in and year out, he's able to recruit players. He's able to put together, championship caliber teams, and that's a leadership thing. That's a leadership quality. So I know for you, that was an honor to play under someone like that. So what do you feel like when you were there during your time, as being there as a leader, kind of looking and watching? What are some other things other than the getting better or getting worse? What are some other leadership qualities that you gained from him?
To be a champion, this is one of the things. I'm telling you, I learned more in 1 year from Coach Saban than I did all 3 years from the other guy. I don't want to say his name, but
neither do we, so it's okay.
Son, yeah, but I learned more in 1 year, no doubt about it. And one of the biggest things that he stressed is that if you're going to be a champion on the field, you got to be a champion off the field, and that's every aspect of your life. That's when nobody's watching. That's going to class. That's doing your homework, getting studying for your tests, doing whatever you got to do to be a champion. You've got to get that done in every aspect. That's being a good person. It's not going to the bars and getting drunk and getting in fights like we could get away with the prior coach. So what he instilled in us and what he stressed was that if you're going to be a champion, if you're going to win that championship, you have to be a champion 365 days a year.
Yeah. I mean, that'd be heavy. I mean, really kind of, I mean, that's, you got to think, you're 18, 19, 20. I mean,
that's right.
A lot of the times you're the same age that these guys are. And so, I mean, you're in the limelight, you're in the spotlight. I mean, that's a heavy pressure that you put on. So when they did that, how do you feel like you were able to kind of work under that pressure and have that, just that, he's trying to really push that leadership on you?
Well, I was a senior when he came in, so I would say I struggled with it for sure, because I had 3 years of doing it one way, doing it my way, because that's what our previous coach let us do. We could pretty much do what we wanted to. And when Saban came in, he was like, no, it's going to be done this way. I mean, there were guys failing drug tests all over the place with Shula, and he was just inconsistent. One guy he made suspend the whole year. Another guy, if he was good enough, he'd let him get away with whatever he wanted to. Well, that's why we didn't have any kind of cohesivity. I mean, there was no team aspect in the locker room, because one guy was getting away with another and this guy's getting away with that. Well, Coach Saban came in and said, look, these are my rules. One failed, you're going to classes. 2, you're suspending games. 3, you're off the team. I mean, that's just
like
how it is.
It's like it's like going from soft to hard.
Oh yeah.
I mean, that in itself, just trying to adapt to that within a couple months is like.
Oh yeah, it was hard. It was hard, and it really hit us. And we had all the talent in the world. I mean, we were 6-1, I believe, going into the LSU game, and then we had 6 or 7 guys suspended for the whole book infractions and all that stuff. So we lost all our starters. And so when that happened, we lost the rest of the games on the schedule. But we were actually up 14 points against LSU in the fourth quarter, and we fumbled the ball twice and gave them 2 touchdowns. They tied it and went on and won the game or whatever. But yeah, a lot of people don't know that first year, if we'd have beat LSU and then went on to win one more game, we would have been in the SEC championship.
That's right. Yeah, that would have been great. Been crazy, especially with LSU. Nobody likes LSU.
Yeah, no, that's right. That's right.
But if you do, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
So,
that's right.
but so during your time, I'm sorry if you're a fan, but we don't, Yeah. Joseph.
Yeah.
Kicking kids. We're pretty hardcore here too.
That's awesome.
So you got to have the right qualities, or you're out. So
That's right.
So
That's
during your time at Alabama as well, I know you got to encounter a lot of things that most people don't. So what do you feel like for you? What was your most memorable experience when you were there?
I would say just all the victories. I mean, the one year we went 10-2 and won the Cotton Bowl. That was the whole Cotton Bowl experience in Dallas was pretty awesome.
It's cool. So with that, you finished up, and I know you played for Cincinnati for a little bit. I know they talk about a lot, and these guys see on ESPN, they hear there's such a big transition between. I mean, you leave from college and you go straight to the pros, where it's like a eat or be eaten type life.
That's right.
So what do you feel like was some of the main differences, like when you were at Alabama, transferring to that, especially going all the way up to Cincinnati? I mean, that's totally different than here.
Yeah.
So what do you feel like lifestyle wise and things? What were the differences that you saw the most between?
I mean, the difference is that you're working with grown men when you get there. I mean, every
no more
sense of the
boys.
word. I mean, it is. I mean, these guys are putting food on the table for their kids. They're not, wanting to go out and do the whole bar life. Well, I mean, for the most part, definitely you got a few bad apples for sure. But I mean, it's just, it's a totally different mindset. Like, in college, you got guys that are just getting out of high school and wanting to experience the world and wanting to do all this and never been to a bar, never done this, never seen girls or whatever the case is, and they've got to, the coaches have to do a really good job, a really tough job of keeping those 18-year-olds focused. Like, you don't have to do that in the NFL. Either you're focused and you're working hard or you're out.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I mean, it's extremely cutthroat. They moved me to center. I'd never played center in my life, and they wanted me to play center because that's what my body type, because I was smaller than those guys. And I had to play center, but when I look at it, there's only 32 starting centers in the world. There's only 32 football teams. I mean, that's as cutthroat as it possibly gets. So I mean, it was just the fact that I signed a contract. Was just a true blessing, and I thank God every day for that, for sure.
I mean, they say, like, isn't it like less than 1% of people even make it? To that level. So I mean, that's awesome that you even did that. I mean, so I mean, the other thing with that, I know a lot of people talk about, just the pace and things. I mean, what was it hard adjusting to that? I mean, hard kind of, moving from that college to that pro level, and did you feel like it was faster? Like, I mean, you hear it all the time that
it was like, I mean, you're playing the SEC, you're playing
pretty fast. Yeah,
you're playing fast. So it was more like, a game day every single day. You know what I'm saying? Where they're giving their best every single snap. Some people try to say NFL isn't good football players, but it is extremely good football players, and they are going as hard as they possibly can all the time, because it is extremely cutthroat business, and those guys are getting after it for sure.
That's crazy. I mean, like you said, I mean, that's awesome that you got to do that. I mean, it was cool. I mean, that's a gift from God to get to that point, to be able to experience something like that. So, well, that's awesome. So what I've got for you guys now, if you've got some questions, I've got, if y'all send some in, I want to see what we kind of have. So some questions that you guys might have for him. One of the ones that I've got really that they're kind of looking at and asking, do you feel like when you moved to the NFL, do you feel like life changed for you at all? I mean, just from like the Cincinnati being there, do you feel like lifestyle was different, or? Yeah,
I mean, it was different, but like I said, it was different, absolutely. Just being in that, in the big city and being in Cincinnati, everything was different. I mean, you're going around hanging out with guys that just have tons of money, and you don't have a lot because you're trying to make it, and they're wanting to go eat filet mignons every single night. So I mean, it's definitely just a different lifestyle. I mean, you're talking about the real world versus college. College isn't the real world. It's not. I mean, when you get in the real world, these players are trying to feed their family. Yeah. They're trying to get you cut because they're trying to take your job. Everybody behind you is trying to take your job, or in my case, I was trying to take somebody else's job. Trying to get in there and be that person. That's right.
One of the other ones that someone asked was, What was it like being able to play in Bryant-Denny? I mean, you see it, for those of you that have ever been there, you walk in on game day. I mean, it's an electrifying atmosphere. I mean, it is loud. It's now it used to be the largest in the SEC. Now it's the second largest, but I mean, still, I mean, that's over 100,000 people being in there. So what is that like, standing in the middle of that field? Everybody's just watching. I mean, what's going through your mind when all that's going on?
Oh man, that's hard to explain. I mean, it really is unbelievable. I mean, I really can't put it into words. I mean, it's one of those lifelong dreams that you just hope to hear your name called over the intercom, and then when you hear it, that's the coolest part. Is the pregame when they have you up there, you can tell them your position and all that stuff, and you're up there on the jumbotron. That's definitely the coolest part. But it was amazing.
Do you ever catch yourself trying to yell at the person next to you because you just really can't hear anything that's going on?
No,
is it really that hard to hear each other when you're down there?
Well, when I was on defense, yeah, it is hard. It is hard. It just it depends on the situation, but sometimes you can't hear the guy next to you.
Especially I take it like during the Iron Bowls.
Especially the Iron Bowls are always the loudest games. In Tiger Stadium, Baton Rouge, that was loud.
And that's one of the last questions one of the students asked, like, what's it like playing in the Iron Bowl? I mean, you're in a state where, I mean, we have a house divided. We have a house divided. Unfortunately, I've already told her our daughter's going to be an Alabama fan, so she's going home, and I've already kind of snuck. We have a pacifier that's Alabama, and her mom gave us that schools as well.
Right.
That one's gone. She doesn't know it, but it's not in the house anymore.
That's awesome.
So we're gonna slip that Roll Tide one in there. I'm just making sure you know that. I'm gonna be up front. So
yeah. That's right.
Get that look I'm getting. So what was that like? I mean,
it was awesome.
I mean, as a player and
same thing. Can't describe it. Super intense. I mean, all kind of emotions. Can't even describe it.
Is the passion on the field? That's the other thing. Is the passion on the field really as crazy as it is between fans? I mean, fans literally just, I mean, it's like that day comes and they just hate each other.
No doubt. For me, it
do you
was.
feel like that way with the players?
Yeah, I mean, I actually developed a hatred for that other jersey, for sure. I mean, I actually hated
that center school.
Yeah, I actually hated them, for sure.
Man, that's awesome. So, well, and thank you for those of y'all that sent some questions in. And so, really what I want to do is kind of turn it more towards your walk with Christ. That's one of the things that's most intriguing. Like I told you guys, Justin kind of shared his story with me, and I'm going to give him a little bit of the opportunity to do that. But, I mean, especially being in that kind of world, I know that's not easy. And, I mean, you're just involved with everything. I mean, you have, like you said, I mean, it's just people calling you to go out, and you're just, I mean, when you're on campus, you're a superstar. I mean, especially in this state. I mean, for Alabama, you're massive. So, what did you feel like? What was it like trying to maintain your walk with Christ while being there? Because I know that can't be an easy. I mean, you're constantly just getting up against the enemy and just.
I mean, the enemy knows what kind of platform I had. I didn't realize it at the time. One specific thing comes to mind. I remember my senior year. My mom is a homecoming, and my mom fell off the back of one of those little golf carts you see riding around. She cracked her skull in 7 different places, and was in a coma for I think right around a month. But while she was in that coma, she had her first brain surgery. They had to go in, they had to remove this side of the skull, and that was an emergency because she was having such swelling in her brain because it was such a trauma, and she was having a lot of bleeding in her brain. So they had to go in and remove the skull, and then that happened in Tuscaloosa. So then we got her to Trinity over here in Mountain Brook, and she finally was starting to come around, and then she started having strokes. She had like 2 or 3 strokes on the right side of her brain where the most damage was, and so she had the respirators and feeding tubes and everything going into her mouth. And after the second surgery, they told us that she was, if she made it, I think they said 85 to 95% chance that, basically they said there's no way that she's going to be able to move or the left side of her body, because when they had to go in the second time, they had to remove 15% of her frontal lobe, because that's where the stroking was occurring. As we would see, like when she was in a coma, when she'd have a stroke, her face would start to droop and all the common signs of stroke. But they told us, if she survives, if she comes out of the coma, she was not going to be able to walk for sure, and she definitely won't be able to. 85% chance she won't be able to use the left side. So me and Wesley went and grabbed a Bible. We called people. We said, because we were in the situation we were, we had multitudes and multitudes of prayer, and we were reading James chapter 5. I'll never forget it. And it said, "Pray over the sick, and they will be healed." So as he was reading it, her left hand was there with all the IVs and everything, and as he was reading it, I was watching. Her hand started to move like that, and they said it wouldn't ever move. They said, especially while she's in the coma, she won't be able to move. And it started moving like that. I said, "Wesley, man, check that out. Check that out. Look." And her hand's moving, man. And it stopped. He stopped and looked at it. And I said, "No, keep reading, keep reading." So he kept
Keep it going.
Yeah, keep going.
Get that good word
Keep going. Keep going. Yeah, no doubt. And her hand, it kind of moved a little bit. And I was just like, there's no doubt that's God. And that was my first real experience with God. I had no doubt in my mind. Like he's worked on me my whole life. In 8th grade, I had a call to ministry. I knew I wanted to be in ministry, but I always thought I couldn't play football and be in ministry because all those ministers were a bunch of wusses. That's just what I thought. I thought
everybody in the room that speaks
no
just put
doubt.
their hands up like, wait a second.
No doubt. That's what I thought. I thought, to be Jesus, I thought I just had this whole picture of Jesus with the flowing hair and the kids gathered around, all that good stuff. But as soon as I had that real experience, that's when the devil really attacked me, and it made it really hard. I got home, and I'm like, I'm ready. I know I got this awesome platform. I'm about to start speaking His name, Lord. Let's do this. And then next thing you know, ex-girlfriend hooks up with my best friend. This happens, that happens. This girl I was dating hooked up with another one of my friends. The devil was just on an all-out attack because he feared me. The devil only attacks the ones he fears. He did. No doubt in my mind that he feared me, and I didn't realize it. I didn't know how powerful the devil was. I thought, oh, God's a sovereign God. He's in charge of everything. Why in the world would he let the evil one attack me? But what I didn't know is that while we're here on this earth, we're on evil. We're on the enemy's territory. This is enemy's territory, and he dwells, and he is powerful on this earth. And I didn't understand that game.
That's good too. That's awesome. The devil only attacks those he fears. That's powerful. So, and during this time, so were you in Tuscaloosa or were you back home?
that was my senior year.
So man, so you just, you really. We just finished a series where we talked about supernatural and how the enemy attacks us and things. So it's
That's
really, that's exactly what you're experiencing, seeing that all the time.
Yeah.
So, with that and seeing that and experiencing God, where do you feel like in your life? Was that it, or is there a time? I know you kind of shared with me a little bit of your time at Daystar, and kind of where you felt like your life had changed. And I think that's awesome. I think it's such impactful for these guys. Kind of share that with them, just where you felt like you really took a turn for your walk with Christ.
After that, after my senior year and experienced that with Mom, and then I moved out to California, and my agent paid for me to train before I got signed. But the devil did a great job of turning me into a recluse. With guilt and with shame and with pride. I was my whole life. Everybody in Coleman, Alabama, told me how awesome I was. You're putting us on the map. You're playing in the NFL. This is awesome. That's awesome. This is awesome. So once all that ended, I was so full of pride, I crashed. I didn't know, what am I supposed to do now? I just got cut. That's been my whole life. My whole life, all I want to do is play football. What do I do now? And so then I turned to other things that aren't godly things. And then the devil used shame against me, used guilt against me. And I got so far away from the Lord that it's scary. It's scary. Until I was 26 years old, I met my wife. And she was the first real person that was on fire for the Lord. She loved the Lord and had a passion. I didn't understand that. And the first question she asked me was, how's your walk with the Lord? And I said, well, honestly, it's inexistent. I don't have a walk with the Lord right now. And just because I told the truth, she knew she loved me. And I knew I loved her from the first day. That's why it scared me to death. Our first kiss, I knew I was going to marry her. And then fear set in. And then thank the Lord, we ended up getting engaged. And, thank the Lord, I stuck with it and married her, even though the devil did his best to try to get me to destroy it. You know, I was mean, I was angry all the time. I mean, however the devil could attack me, he was attacking me. And thank goodness I stuck with her, and now we have 2 kids, and I'm just blessed beyond belief. But yeah.
And when you, I know when you and I talked, you kind of shared a little bit about your time where you talked about being a warrior and being that. Kind of indulge in that a little bit, especially for these guys in here.
Sure.
I mean, it's just such a powerful word, especially with Takeover and things. We're trying to teach them, like, take your schools back, fight for your city, fight for your community. You live in a culture now where you technically should hide your light. You know, you're not supposed to let it shine. You know, you're supposed to keep it away from other people. And so, but I think when you look at it from that perspective of being a warrior, that's something they can hold on to. So kind of share that. I know you kind of, when you were there, that was one of the things that you really felt kind of pushed you with your walk. Kind
Absolutely.
Share that meaning.
My wife, that's where I went off with my wife, because she's just awesome. She got me to Daystar. And, you know, I was a Baptist. I went to Baptist, you know, I was just all Baptist, old hymnals, all that good stuff my whole entire life. And then she got me to go to Daystar. And while I was going to Daystar, Pastor Jerry had this series on being a warrior and invited me to be a warrior. And it got me thinking. I was like, wait, you mean to tell me I could be a warrior and still be a Christian? And then in the middle of that series, you know, I found out that in Exodus it says that God is a warrior. And then also it says that we are made in his image. So that means we're made in the image of God. That means we are warriors. All right, let me tell you a story about Samson. Y'all have all heard the story of Samson, right? I mean, y'all really read it in Judges. I got into the story of Samson, and then, all right, Samson, you know, as y'all probably know, he killed 33 people, or however many it was. He killed 30 people, and then he was bound by new ropes. All right, so then 1,000 soldiers were coming to him to kill him. All right, and while he was bound by those new ropes, he was taken over by the Holy Spirit, and those new ropes turned into ashes. And then what did he do? He picked up a jawbone of a donkey and killed 1,000 soldiers. All right, and I got to thinking, wait, that God, that Jesus that I always thought was a wuss and was a passive and you know the super nice guy, you know, that's the God that I had no idea about. I had no idea that he was a warrior, and I missed out on that the whole time I was in college, because I always thought, you know, I can't play football and be a Christian, because how can I be aggressive and be a Christian? But Matthew 11:10 says, the kingdom of heaven suffers violence, and violent and aggressive men take it by force. All right? That's the soldier, that's the warrior that I wanted to be, that I knew I could be, that I had a longing to be, but I just missed it. I completely missed it. And when Pastor Jerry had that service, the Lord invited me to be a warrior, and that completely changed my life.
That's awesome.
And if you don't think God has swagger too, let me tell you about after that story. Well, not only is a warrior, that dude's got some swagger, because let me tell you about this. After Samson, as he was consumed, as he was taken over by the Holy Spirit, after he said, then Samson said, and this is Judges 15:16. Samson said, "With a donkey's jawbone, I have made donkeys of them." You don't think that's a swagger? Then he took with the donkey's jawbones, I have killed 1,000 men. He took that jawbone, said, I made donkeys of all of you. As they're laying on the ground, dropped it and walked off. That's swagger.
So what I'm hearing is, pastors, when we're done with tonight, we need to go and battle it out outside, so we can kind of get away from that wuss image.
That's right.
Kind of go. I'd be a little bit more worried about Pastor B back there. I don't know.
That's right.
That donkey's jaw might be a little heavy for him.
Yeah,
so.
that's right.
But
Ooh, that's right.
It's so nice when you get to be the one up here. They spend every Sunday making fun of me, because I'm easy to make fun of.
It's hard. It's hard.
I get to enjoy it. Yeah, it's nice.
It's a battle, dude. It's a battle every time. No doubt about it.
That's probably the best thing I've ever heard. If you don't think Jesus has swagger.
Yeah.
So I did tell the students one time. I told them one time. I said, guys, y'all know Jesus don't need no deodorant because he doesn't sweat.
No doubt.
So now we've got swagger, and Jesus doesn't wear deodorant because he doesn't sweat.
That's right.
He's good to go all the time.
No doubt.
So that, and seeing where you are, where that's led you to, where do you feel like in your life God's calling you to now? Where is that you feel kind of?
I feel like, I feel like I've been called into ministry, just like everybody in this room has been called to ministry.
That's
just
good.
like he's been called, just like he called me when I was in 8th grade, but I said I couldn't go into ministry because they're wusses. Well, God is not a wuss. He is a warrior, and he is calling you to ministry, just like he's calling me. I get to work in the construction industry, the worst of the worst. We have over 150 employees. It's a family company. And, man, I'm dealing with guys that are the worst homeless guys. I mean, I'm dealing with one guy right now that's never even been to church. I get to witness to him every single day. And every single day, I'm called to ministry, just like everybody in this room. And and wherever the Lord leads me, I'm going. I surrender everything I have. Nothing I have is mine. It's all His. He blessed me with. I live on Smith Lake. We got 32 acres out there just because my NFL contract. I was able to buy that and then basically sell one lot, and it paid off the rest of the land. So I mean, that's His. We're going to use it. One day I see men's camps, youth camps.
Awesome.
I mean, father and son camps. I mean, I have a real strong passion towards men in this world because it's like this. It's like a lion that's been caged, right? Has everybody been to the zoo and seen a lion? How many times have you seen him roar or swat at you or any of that? Probably none. You know why? Because he's been caged his whole life. He forgets that he's a lion, right? Well, the same is true with the men on this earth. Because of school and because of churches, we've been caged, and we forget that we are fierce and that we are warriors and that we are mighty. We are made in His image, and He is a warrior. Exodus. He is a warrior. He is mighty. He is fierce. He has swagger. And that's who He is.
Man, that's good. Man, that's awesome, man. I mean, you can hear just the passion in you, and it's so awesome to see that. I think, like you said, even called in minister, especially with students, you don't see a lot of adults these days have the passion that you have for that, because this is something that I feel like they need to learn. They need to be ready, because you're going to be challenged. You guys are going to have somebody come up against you. So that's just awesome. So I got one more for you. If with our last question for these guys, if it's the last thing you could just really leave with them, an impression or something, what would you want to leave on their souls tonight? What's one thing you'd like for them to take away from all this?
The one thing that I've learned, and the Lord's really put this on my heart just in the past week, it was my wife's birthday, so I was going to a Christian bookstore trying to find her something cool. And they had this canvas that says, "Hope changes everything." And I was like, well, hope changes everything. That's just a word that I've kind of used every now and then. Yeah, I can hope for you, brother. I hope I do good on this test, or I hope this. But, Paul says that love is the most important virtue for sure. But I believe that right there, right behind love, is hope. Because hope can change anything. Love, yes, opens the door and starts a relationship. But if you can instill hope into somebody, they can do anything. Because with hope, anything is bearable. If you believe that there is a future for you that's prosperous, because God says there is a future for you. If there's anything I can instill into you, it's that have hope. Because our God is the God of hope. And He gives you hope. All you got to do is ask for it. And He will bless you, and He will take care of you. He has plans for you to prosper, and for you to be healthy, and for you to live a great life. He has that plan for you, and you've just got to believe it. Believe in it. In my ministry, if I can instill anything into them to get any kind of change, it's always hope. It's always hope. It always comes down to hope. If they're going to continue to go to church or continue to crack open that Bible, they're going to have hope in their hearts, because hope is that driving force that will change you. You just got to believe it and take it in. All the stories in the Bible, I've noticed this. After all of Jesus' awesome blessings that He put upon him, He made the blind see. He healed the sick. After every one of those stories, those people received His blessing. Yeah. Right? He didn't just go around changing people without them even wanting it. They received it. And you've got to receive that blessing. And you can be changed. You can be full of hope, because our God is the God of hope.
That's awesome, man. And guys, I really hope you kind of kind of took a lot of what Justin says tonight. I mean, you can see the passion in his heart, the love for the kingdom and chasing after and those things that he has. And I love that the kind of where he leaves that off at, because that's something I want to challenge you with tonight. How can you be a warrior? How can you unleash that cage that's inside of you? Because you do. You live so much in a community that cages you in. You're not supposed to talk about religion. You're not supposed to do things. I saw on the news the other day where they told a coach that if he wanted to pray with his team, he had to do it in a room with a closed door. And that's what you live in right now. You live in a community, in a world that wants to take the faith that you have, that light, that fire, that warrior inside of you, and they want you just to, hey, put it behind the door. You can still have it. That's awesome. We want you to be who you are. Just put it behind the door. Keep it away from where other people can see it, where it might be contagious. So I want you guys, go ahead and bow your heads with me tonight. And guys, I want you just to dwell on what you heard Justin say. Talk about that hope and the things that he says. If the devil fears you, then he's going to mess with you. He's going to come after you. And I talk to you guys so much on a weekly basis, and I know that some of y'all are constantly being attacked, so that means Satan's scared of you. Satan knows you're a world changer. But the first thing you got to do is you got to accept that hope. You got to accept to have that relationship with a God that loves you, the God that all he wants to do is have a relationship with you. He's not here to do anything else but that. You've heard us say before, you have a God that comes down to you. But all you have to do is accept that hope. And just like you heard Justin say, it's going to change your life. You're going to experience things you've never experienced. You're going to see God work in your life in ways you never thought. And there's no magical words. There's no special ceremony you have to have. It's simply opening your heart to God. Saying, come inside. Be here with me. If that's something, if you're ready to make that choice, if you're ready to follow that hope, if you're ready to be that warrior, I challenge you today. Raise your hand. Put your hand up and say, that's going to be me. I see your hand right there. That's awesome. That's awesome. I see that hand too. If you're ready to accept a relationship with God, have that hand and follow him. That's awesome. I see that hand too, guys. I see that one. You guys are world changers. You're changing lives right now. I promise you right now, Satan's trembling because y'all are raising your hand. God, I thank you, one, for men of God like Justin, God. I thank you so much that we have people in this world that, God, they've walked through the fire. They've been in places where they felt at their lowest point, but God, you stood with them the entire time. You walked hand in hand, side by side through the fire with them, God. And I just thank you for the passion that you've given him, and I thank you for the way that he's just able to connect with these students, God. And these students today that chose to raise their hand to say, I want to be that. I want to be that warrior. I want to be that person that changes lives, that hope that I have, God. I ask that you just bless that. And I ask that you just honor that. I ask that you use these students. Don't allow them to hide their light away. Let it shine bright as can be, because if you have when you have all these lights shine together, God, you can't hide it. Darkness can't hide out the light. God, I ask that you just lay your hand on each and every one of these students in this room tonight. I ask that you work in their lives, that you multiply what they do. God, in your holy name we pray. Amen.